Welcome to the March 2023 Board of Directors briefing. We are excited to have you join us from online around the world, and we hope you'll be able to join us again at the next board briefing to be held in August. The board has decided to reintroduce the March board briefing as part of our efforts to increase dialogue and communication guided by the 2022 to 2024 strategic plan. As we continue to make positive strides forward, there are many exciting initiatives on the horizon for Toastmasters International, and we're going to share some of those with you today. Please join me in recognizing your 2022-2023 International Board of Directors distinguished Toastmasters all. Region 1, Louisa Davis. Region 2, Jesse Oakley III. Region 3, Michael Holian. Region 4, Kimberly Myers. Region 5, Monica Rose. Region 6, Dawn Frail. Region 7, Elmer Hill. Region 8, Anwisha Banerjee. Region 9, Jeff Sobel. Region 10, Jean Gamester. Region 11, Ali Shabazz Ali Shah. Region 12, Benjamin McCormick. Region 13, Gary Seshadri. Region 14, Helen Herr. And the 2022-2023 Executive Committee, Chief Executive Officer Daniel Rex, and your international officers, distinguished Toastmasters all. Immediate past International President, Richard E. Peck. Second Vice President, Aletta Rocha. First Vice President, Roddy Spear. International President-elect, Morag Matheson. And yours truly, your International President, Matt Kinsey. Members of the board, thank you for your dedication and continued service. I shall now present my report as International President. It has been a momentous time since we last met in August. We have had many changes to the organization, many successes. Things are beginning to turn around, and our Chief Executive Officer will share some of the details of that. But as members around the world have begun to hold more meetings in person and in hybrid formats, we have seen a response from new members and new clubs. This is an exciting time. We have many positive things, but what I'm most heartened about is the fact that we were able to get back to mid-year training this year with our district leaders. It made a tremendous effort, and we saw the change that occurred in many of our district leaders as they met with each other, learned, shared their experiences, shared their frustrations, and planned for the rest of the year. The rest of the year is critical, and I encourage you to review your plans for for becoming a distinguished district or higher. Make sure that you know what the remaining work is. Make sure that you know what efforts need to be taken, and stay committed until that last day, because it is still possible. I recently looked at the dashboards. I feel that we still have a great possibility to have the longest Hall of Fame in the history of Toastmasters because of the work of you, our dedicated Toastmasters district leaders who support the district mission in creating new clubs and in supporting all clubs in achieving excellence. Please welcome our Chief Executive Officer, Daniel Rex, for his report.
Thank you very much, International President Kinsey, and greetings, fellow Toastmasters from around the world. It's good to be with you today for a few minutes and share some information about the organization. As Matt mentioned, we are beginning to see signs that we are finally emerging from the decline that we began to experience in early 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. For the quarter ending December 31st, 2022, total membership payments surpassed the same quarter in the previous year for the first time since the pandemic began. This growth was driven primarily by new members of existing clubs and charter members of new clubs. If this trend continues, we could experience growth in membership payments, new clubs, and new members for the 2022-2023 program year. Now, this doesn't mean that we have completely recovered from the pandemic-driven downturn. The positive results that we're seeing are more equivalent to our results from a decade ago, and we're still far behind the 2019 performance. Day by day, inch by inch, we'll get there. Also, as President Kinsey said, we're beginning to see data that indicates that clubs that are meeting in person are those that are attracting more new members. And the vast majority of new clubs that are chartering are either meeting online or hybrid. No, excuse me, in person or hybrid. The quantitative growth that we're experiencing is a measurable indicator that Toastmasters clubs are fulfilling the mission and conducting excellent meetings. And we know that club excellence results in individual member growth and achievement, which in turn fosters more excellent club meetings. This is the cycle that we're looking for, the achievement of the club mission and the achievement of the district mission. It's very clear that the increase in the number of new clubs being organized tells us that the market for experiential communication and leadership learning that we provide has survived the pandemic. District leadership teams working together are building new clubs and supporting clubs in achieving excellence. Thank you, all you district leaders who have joined us today. And thank you to the tens of thousands of individual club members, club officers, district and international leaders, and those who aren't currently in a leadership role, who have dedicated themselves to Toastmasters and helped us get through this difficult time. What's next for the movement that Dr. Smedley founded? The future is up to each of us. Let's work together positively to fulfill our part, our responsibility. Let's brush off the rust and hesitation and focus on the basics, excellent club meetings and new growth. When those two items function well, the rest will quickly fall into place. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. The CEO report is available on the Toastmasters.org website at the URL listed or via the QR code. Presenting on the status of World Headquarters, please welcome our International President-elect, Morag Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. President. This month, the Executive Committee conducted its meeting at World Headquarters in Denver, Colorado. The committee members had the opportunity to spend time with the team members who exhibit passion and dedication to the organization. With the return to the office a few days a week, the team is rebuilding its internal culture, encouraging collaboration and support. Our CEO and his team are working to hire the individuals needed to complete the upcoming projects and to reach the customer service standards from before the pandemic. It is evident that great strides have been made in recovery from the pandemic, but there's still more work to be done. Mr. President.
Thank you, Morag. Please join me in welcoming the chair of the Strategic Planning Committee report, immediate past International President, Richard E. Peck.
Thank you, Mr. President. In August 2022, the 2022-2024 Strategic Plan was released. In November 2022, the Strategic Planning Committee discussed the communication of the plan to members and leaders at all levels of the organization to highlight the role each individual plays in making the plan a success. The committee discussed the future of speech contests, focusing on the benefits and impacts at all levels at which speech contests are held. They reflected on the opportunities and challenges for conducting the contests on site, online, and hybrid. The committee also received a report on the outcome of the listening groups conducted in June and October 2022. This report included information on the attendance rates and identified common themes and ideas. Earlier this month, the committee conducted a debrief of the global pandemic, discussing the decisions made and the actions taken. They reviewed what was done well and what could have been done better. The committee examined how to capitalize on the positive impacts of the pandemic and overcome the negative ones. Earlier this month, the committee reviewed the categories and goals for the organization that were established in March 2022. They agreed that the 6 categories continue to be relevant to measuring the success of the organization. The committee established new goals for the 2023-2024 program year, as shown on the screen. Distinguished clubs, an increase of 3% in 2023-2024, Membership payments, 3% increase. Renewal rate, 1% increase. A member satisfaction rating of 5.8. Club growth of a 3% increase, and pathway level completions of a 3% increase. Let me say again, these are organizational goals. The committee will continue its discussion on the organizational goals in the coming months, focusing on where they would like to see the organization in 5 to 7 years. The members of the Strategic Planning Committee are Matt Kinsey, Morag Matheson, Roddy Spear, Aletta Rochat, Dan Rex, and myself. This concludes the report of the Strategic Planning Committee.
Thank you, Richard. I will now present on some of the work that the Board of Directors has completed this year. The Board of Directors hold monthly video conferences and meet in a hybrid format twice a year. Most recently, the board met on Saturday, March 18th and Sunday, March 19th, 2023. Here are some of the initiatives to share with you. The board is responsible for overseeing the organization's budget and financial matters, a task made more complicated while navigating the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have carefully managed expenses while also experiencing membership levels that have retreated to those last seen in 2013 and income levels that have decreased to those seen in 2015. In addition to this, inflation has caused expenses to increase since the last dues adjustment 7 years ago. The board carefully considered many options to address these realities, including but not limited to reductions in service, a greater scaling back of initiatives. To prepare us for the future, we chose to prioritize our commitment to improving our service to you, the dedicated members and leaders of Toastmasters International. With that and the financial health of the organization in mind, the board has decided to increase membership dues to $60 US, starting with the October 2023 semi-annual period. Any member who submits their dues payment for the October renewal period before August 1st, 2023, will continue to pay the current $45 US rate. Again, let me repeat, any member who submits their dues payment for the October semi-annual period before August 1st will pay the current $45 rate. Any membership payments for the October renewal period received on or after August 1st will reflect the new dues rate of $60 for the 6 months. There will be an all-member email announcement about the dues increase going out later today. We ask you to please allow this communication to come from the organization and not from your personal social media posts. I'm excited to share some of the initiatives that this budget will help support. One of the added values we will bring is a robust set of improvements to the Pathways learning experience. Every change that we are planning to make or is under consideration is directly based on feedback that we've received from members like you in the 5 years since Pathways first launched. While feedback has demonstrated that overall Pathways content is strong, members have repeatedly voiced that there are significant challenges with using the online system where content is housed and challenges with navigating the paths and project themselves. Over the past few years, we have worked with our current learning management system or LMS provider to make enhancements where possible. However, we have ultimately decided that the best way to address the greatest challenges faced by our members is to engage with a new LMS provider. I am thrilled to share that development with our new LMS provider is already underway, and the improved system is expected to launch in the first half of 2024. The new LMS platform will improve your experience and include enhancements. You'll have an easier time navigating the system, launching your path, and working through projects. When your completed path is approved, it will automatically be submitted for recognition in Club Central. You will be able to access pathways on your mobile phone with a mobile app to follow in the future. Pathways will be friendly and accessible to our members who are visually impaired, and we will be able to share our accomplishments on social media. We're excited for these enhancements and are also discussing what comes next for Pathways content. Stay tuned for more announcements about content updates later this year. Each year, International President selects individuals to receive a Presidential Citation Award. This award is a significant honor in the organization, and to ensure the selection process is consistent, Protocol 9.2 Presidential Citations was adopted in 2015. Since then, the protocol has been amended to reflect current practices. In January 2023, amendments to Protocol 9.2 were approved to restore the eligibility of past international presidents to receive the award. Additional amendments clarified that service on the board will not be a primary consideration for determining if a citation is warranted. Rather, the activities and efforts the member makes for the benefit of the organization before or after service as a board member will be the primary considerations. The deadline to nominate a member for this year is April 1st. If you would like to nominate someone for this award, please fill out the form for the URL shown on the screen. October-November district conferences were discontinued in the 2018-2019 program year. This change did not deliver the results we were looking for and had unintended consequences. Since then, the board has reviewed and discussed the variety of events that districts have held during these months. As a result, in September 22, the board made amendments to Protocol 7.1 district events to provide guidance on events that can be held during that time frame to help district leaders focus on the district mission. Districts may conduct a one-day on-site or hybrid event between September 1st and December 1st. The purpose of the event is to provide training to club officers and/or district leaders, or to recognize the achievements of members and clubs. This concludes the presentation on the work of the board. In addition to the work conducted by the board, the international president assigns committees to review ideas that may improve the organization. Committees typically convene for a 5 or 6 month period, sometimes extending their term should the assignment call for it. There were 3 committees for the September 2022 to March 2023 period. To present about the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging, and Accessibility Committee, please welcome Second Vice President Aletta Rocha and immediate past International President Richard E. Peck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and accessibility are far more than a set of words and questions. They are a state of awareness, a state of acceptance, and ideally a state of unity.
As Toastmasters International grows and evolves, diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and accessibility must be integral to the organization's practices and considerations. To address this fundamental need, the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging, and Accessibility, or DEBA Committee, was formed in August 2022 and tasked with examining the individual components of DEBA through a global lens. We wanted to assess where Toastmasters International stands within the DEBA spectrum. Additionally, based on the committee's findings, the committee was tasked with making recommendations as appropriate to strengthen the position of Toastmasters International regarding DEBA.
The DEBA committee began its work by asking that each committee member first take an introspective look at what DEBA meant to them, and then sharing any life experiences they felt were relevant. Then the committee reached out to non-committee members to gain their insights. Through this process, it became apparent that this is an emotionally charged subject for many people, that each of us bring our own biases, conscious or unconscious, to the discussion based on our experiences, and that the meaning and view of DEBA vary across the globe.
The second exercise performed by the committee was researching and reviewing the practices, governing documents, strategies, and training programs of other organizations, both for-profit and nonprofit.
With both exercises successfully completed, the committee compared their findings to the current state of DEBA as it applied to Toastmasters International. After an extensive review, the committee made several recommendations to the board of directors for consideration, including the need for greater member engagement and expertise on this subject.
The principles of DEBA cannot be looked at and set aside. They need to be woven into the fabric of Toastmasters International. The work of the DEBA committee has set the foundation for this process.
The members of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging and Accessibility Committee include myself as co-chair, Richard E. Peck as co-chair, international directors, Anwesha Banerjee, Dawn Frail, Jean Gamester, Elmer Hill, Michael Holian, and Gary Seshadri. Past international directors included Joan Lewis, Mary Morrison, Mike Rafferty, and Eliza Tay. Staff liaison, Kate Wingrove, and staff liaison support, Amber Via.
Mr. President, this concludes the presentation of the DEBA committee.
Thank you, Aletta and Richard. The work of this committee is fundamental to the future of the organization. To present about the Policy Review Committee, please welcome First Vice President Roddy Spear.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Policy Review Committee was tasked with reviewing the governing documents relevant to potential changes that have arisen through board meetings and conversations with members. The committee was assigned the following topics to review: district signature forms, club officer roles, conflict of interest, ordering of options, use of members' contact information, Toastmasters events and meetings. The committee assessed the steps for submitting district signature forms to identify areas where the process can be streamlined and simplified for the district leaders. The committee considered the terms for the club officer roles to see how best to expand opportunities available to club members to try various leadership roles which require different skills and abilities. No changes are being made. The committee continued the work on protecting all levels of the organization when conflicts of interest arise. Additional work is still needed, but the committee provided important steps forward. The committee recommended amendments to the governing documents which were approved by the board to create consistency in how lists of options such as meeting formats are included. The committee evaluated the guidelines in the governing documents to help protect members' contact information and recommended an amendment to Policy 4.0, Intellectual Property, which was approved by the board. Further, the committee reviewed forms signed by Toastmasters who are provided with member contact information and suggested ways to extend privacy protections. And finally, the committee examined the types of events and the accompanying promotional materials conducted by members in the last few years. With the shift to online events during the pandemic, the potential audience at events has expanded globally. The committee sought ways to provide greater clarity on who is permitted to create and conduct a Toastmasters event to reduce confusion and protect the Toastmasters brand. Details will be provided in the minutes of the March 2023 board meeting. The members of the Policy Review Committee included me as the chair, international directors Louisa Davis, Helen Herr, Benjamin McCormick, Kimberly Myers, Monica Rose, and Ali Shabazz Ali Shah. We also had past international directors Sudha Balaji, Michael Osur, Tracy Thomason, staff liaisons Daniel Mitchell, Mona Shah, and staff liaison supports Kristen Kiriasis and Casey Welsh. Mr. President, this concludes the report of the Policy Review Committee.
Thank you, Roddy. To present on the work of the Region Advisor Selection Committee, please welcome International President-elect Morag Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Region Advisor Selection Committee was tasked with interviewing and evaluating all applicants for the 2023 to 2024 Region Advisor team. The committee then recommended the best 24 applicants and the districts which they will serve. Region advisors support district leaders in fulfilling the district mission to build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. They help district leaders maximise performance while helping identify strategies to achieve the district mission. And you see their smiling faces on the screen at the moment. The committee was also tasked with reviewing the selection process and providing recommendations to improve the process in the future. For this review, the committee considered the following categories: promoting the region advisor position, the application process, the interviewing process, and the deliberation of applicants. The committee offered several recommendations for consideration by future Region Advisor Selection Committees. The members of the Region Advisor Selection Committee included myself as chair, international directors Jessie Oakley III and Jeff Sobel, past international directors Roy Ganga, Sharon Anita Hill, Nancy Starr Cassidy, Christine Tembleke, and David Templeman. Past region advisors, Jessica Allen, Francesco Fedeli, James Heron, Karen Isaacs, Sunil Kotaratho, Cindy Latch, Kumaran Pethi, and Linda Ray. Our staff liaisons were Jonathan Lamb and Katie Welsh. Mr. President, this concludes the presentation of the Region Advisors Selection Committee.
Thank you, Morag. For the March through August 2023, there will be 3 new committees: District Reporting, International Campaigns, and Region Alignment. To present the assignment of the District Reporting Committee, please welcome immediate past International President Richard E. Peck.
Thank you, Mr. President. The District Reporting Committee will focus on the key performance indicators of district success and how they are presented to district leaders on the Distinguished Performance Reports. The committee will determine if improvements can be made to assist district leaders in achieving their district recognition program goals.
Thank you, Richard. To present on the International Campaigns Committee, please welcome Second Vice President Aletta Rochat.
Thank you, Mr. President. The International Campaigns Committee will focus on conducting a blue sky discussion about the future of international campaigning. The committee is tasked with developing a process that provides the voting delegates with the information and resources they need to make an informed decision at the annual business meeting. The committee will also be looking at how to provide candidates with the best opportunities to demonstrate the qualities they possess to serve effectively on the board.
Thank you, Aletta. To present on the Regional Alignment Committee, please welcome Second Vice President Roddy Spear and First Vice President Roddy Spear, my apologies, and International President-elect Morag Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Region Alignment Committee will focus on balancing the distribution of districts to regions within the requirements of the Toastmasters International bylaws, while anticipating future growth.
Our governing documents require that the Board of Directors review region alignment every 3 years to ensure that no region consists of more than 15% of the clubs.
Thank you, Aletta and Morag. As our founder, Dr. Smedley said, purpose determines the goal, marks the path, and furnishes the motive power. The board of directors devises strategic measures for the growth and development of the organization. Please join us in our purpose and move the organization forward. Thank you, members and guests, for joining us today for the March 2023 board briefing. The next board briefing will be held in August from Nassau, Bahamas at the International Convention. Registration is now open. We hope to see you there. This concludes the board briefing.